Hey everybody, this is Joe. Thank you for watching my Giga Texas construction update video.
Well, welcome to Friday. It's the 21st of October 2022 and a lot going on here at Giga Texas, and you can probably see with the camera a little bit of the wind is starting to pick up as well. But I was able to get some really good video with the drone today and a very expansive tour around the site. And I start off on the west side of the highway and show you a few interesting things, but the things I want to highlight in the intro today before we get into the main video is first, off of the third quarter shareholders meeting, they mentioned that Giga Texas has hit, at least on a daily basis, a run rate of 2,000 cars per week. Now hopefully by the time we get to next week we'll get enough data and enough days and they'll be able to make the announcement that they are at a 2,000 vehicle per week production rate. But you can definitely tell with the amount of Model Ys. Now on the south end, the two things I want to talk about related to that is first, look at the amount of Model Ys that are parked down on the south end, and also they're parked over on the east side too in two different locations, and the amount of transports picking them up continues to work at a very fast pace. The second thing that I want to show you on the south end is take a look at the concrete lot that all these Model Ys are parked on. Specifically, I want to highlight the east side concrete removal. And you can see that it has expanded now into what was sort of that rectangular section where the Model Ys have been parked. And it looks like there's a lot of saw cutting that's already been taking place there. So the removal of that concrete lot is going to be continuing at an accelerated pace. So they're going to have to move these Model Ys to the east side very soon. The other thing I want to show you is to answer the question, where does all of these concrete sections go that they're cutting out of the south end? Well, I now have a direct answer, and that is well north of the battery cathode plant, in that section that was originally set up as the equipment rental lot. They now have a mobile repair shop with a tent, as you can see in this particular image. And then very near that section, you can see here the storage location for all of the concrete sections that have been cut out from the south end, and they're being transported all the way up here north of the battery cathode for temporary storage. So very interesting. As I mentioned, I flew the drone about 18 total miles today, so you get a chance to see quite a bit of the site. So make sure you check out the video, a lot of narration as well, and good information. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you have a great weekend and also have a great day. Thank you.
My drones are ready and raring to go. Let's go flying over Giga Texas. This morning we start off west of the Central Highway, and I'm just showing you some of the work that's going on just south of River Road. You can see some of that grass spray that has been put onto the dirt here, and this is part of a erosion control effort. You can also see just some of the sand and gravel mine remaining ponds and hills off to the left-hand side. Most of the activity is over at the sort of foundation that you can see coming up right in front of the drone. So let's take a closer look and see what is going on today. Those white, red, and sort of blue trailers right in the middle of the screen, those are interesting. Those are usually used to clean out plumbing system after some construction. And we see a lot of this around the site. So possibly some plumbing clean out going to be going on in the near future. You can see some of the materials in the center of the screen. On the right-hand side of the screen, the rails for the bridge crane and the casting machine structure. Some of the tanks that will be most likely going to the battery cathode structure, and just generally how this section looks. Now, some of the materials have actually been relocated from here a little bit further north, and we'll head up there and I will show you what has been relocated and possibly what this may indicate for the future. This This is the new material storage location that was recently completed, and much of what you see on the surface has been relocated from the south material storage that we were just looking at. And you see quite a bit of materials, some steel, some pipes, some of the trailers, some containers or crates. Also, in the center of the screen, you can see some of the concrete segments that have been pulled up from the south end of the building as well. So another place where they're storing them. You also see here some shrubbery, some trees, and some purple pipes for irrigation system. So this will be used for landscaping and irrigation around the site at some point. So we're going to fly south along the highway again, just to give you an idea of how the factory looks from this particular vantage point. And we'll prepare to pick up the video on the other side of the highway in just a second. So now we are at the main entrance. This is just an idea of how the landscaping is going on here. There's still some trees and other bushes that still need to be installed. You can see that right in the center. But otherwise, a lot of progress here. Also note that the main entrance doors have had all the protecting materials removed. And in my previous video, I gave you some really good views of what is going on the inside there. So make sure you check that out as well. As we approach the southwest corner, you can see more Model Ys are now being stored here directly ahead of the drone. They were moved away and this lot emptied out a few days ago, but now as production ramps, they're continuing to use this as overflow for some of the Model Ys before they are transported. Here on the south end, we are looking back north where that clearing is on the left-hand side of the screen. This concrete has been removed and hasn't really changed much. Most of the work is on the south and the east sides, which you'll get a chance to see a little bit later. But take a look at all the Model Ys that are being temporarily stored and staged here, awaiting for further movement and transportation. Production rate, as Tesla has mentioned in the third quarter financial results, has now reached about 350 to 400 cars a day, or a run rate of about 2,000 a week. And after we get a little bit more data, they'll be able to hopefully announce that they've hit that milestone. There's some large deliveries that are coming off this evergreen truck, and you can see that the crane has already been hooked up, and they're getting ready to move it up on top of that platform. So I'll give you a quick time lapse here so you can see how this operation is underway and how it takes place. Now, the platform reaches actually the third floor of this part of the building, and in my previous video I showed you how the area, even though it wasn't very well lit, we could see that there's quite a bit of materials and also some vehicles being staged and stored on this third floor as they continue to fit out and prepare for the General Assembly lines 2 and 3 on the second and first floor of this same part of the building. As I turn the drone further to the east, you can get an idea of how the concrete removal is progressing on this side. You can see that it's continuing to expand from the east towards the west, and you can also see a bunch of saw cuts right here at the bottom and center of the screen. This is preparing all of that material for removal, and you can see how it's going to continue to expand across this section. So clearly the Model Ys are going to need to be moved to that east side staging and transport site soon, as this concrete removal continues to pick up speed and progresses across the entire concrete lot. As I pull back towards the south, I want to correct something that I mentioned in my previous video. If you can look down here in this trench, You can see that they're installing pipes, and there's also sort of a red concrete material around the pipes. What this actually is this is electrical conduit, and the red concrete that they put on here is to help warn in case of future excavations that there's electrical conduit here. My previous video I said that it was looking like it was purple and it was a treated water pipe, but the lighting was making it appear purple, but it's clearly a red material. And you can see some of the other pipes around that section. So for some reason they're putting electrical conduit here, and then there's a branch, as you can see in that excavation in the middle of the screen, heading to the north as well. Now I thought that it was related to this horizontal drilling operation that pulled the treated water pipe and the other water pipes, all three of them, from under the Colorado River. You can see more work going on here, and you can also see a segment of that pipe next to that worker. What you can see in the center of the screen, however, it looks like there is some sort of trenching being dug through the trees and in that general direction where that conduit is. So I don't know exactly what is going on here. If you have any ideas, I'd like to see that in the comments. But perhaps what they're building here is going to need some electrical connections in addition to the water. I really don't know. But there's a good view of the south end and all the materials being staged here on the east side. And we'll progress up towards the north along this side of the building. And you can just see the activity that's going on the east side of the stamping machine structure. The new loading ramp that has been installed, and that's a more permanent one. It's made out of steel. It replaced the temporary one that had been there for about, 6 to 8 months or so. And I'll take the advantage of this position. We'll go on top of the body and white roof and show you how the HVAC ducting and the work to prepare this section of the roof for that ducting installation. The work on the 4 rectangular sections on the left-hand side continues, and it looks like it's getting to the point where they can put the ducting in. And then on the right-hand side, you can see workers preparing that transition small wall to the roof, and that'll be how this section is sealed off and more of the weatherproof membrane installed. So continued progress here. I'm going to move a little bit farther to the north just to show you the continued progress with solar panel installation. In this case, bridging the gap between the E and the S, and you can see the work here. It looks like they've got the solar panels put onto the mounts that we saw being installed the last video, and there's another section that's going to be getting ready for solar panels at some point in the future. Now it's interesting, if you note the angle of the drone and the sun, sometimes the solar panels appear to disappear from this side of the building, and it's just because of the angle and the light. I'm also going to show you the work here on these new receiving docks. You can see the work on the ground level, getting ready to do some plumbing ahead of reestablishing the concrete apron work there. And this is continuing the expansion of the receiving docks on the west and the east sides of the main building. This smaller lot continues to see Model Ys on the south end. You can see quite a few of the white ones and several other colors. And this is in pretty close proximity to that helicopter pad, as you can see as well. In addition to this location, we have the new car staging and transportation lot. A lot of Model Ys here as well, both on the left and the right hand side of the screen and along the north end of the fence line. There's a couple of cargo trailers at the moment picking up vehicles, as you can see here. Actually, a third one popped up during that transition, and many more trucks were arriving and departing the site throughout my entire video. So the rate of production of about 350 to 400 per day seems about correct, which puts us on a rate of about 2,000 per week here at Giga Texas, and hopefully we'll get that official word soon. I want to show you, this is another section of the receiving docks on the east side. Looks like some work on the concrete. Also, they're preparing to bring in some of those ramps. You can see that black and yellow in the middle, and they're doing some other work on the south end as well. So they continue to reconfigure the receiving docks, the loading ramps, and just the general ability to bring materials into the factory on both sides, as you can see. This is where all of the castings are being stockpiled on the outside of the casting machine structure. And with the rate of 350 to 400 cars per day, they're really having to go through quite a bit of those castings every day now. This is some of those trailers that I mentioned earlier. These are used for cleaning out a lot of the plumbing system. And since there's so many here, and we saw some across the highway, there's going to be some sort of large-scale plumbing cleaning out happening pretty soon. The lot here, you can see, still is used for vehicles, also for bus traffic for a lot of the contractors. And we'll go up towards the electrical substation now just to show you some of the progress that is underway today. Now this view here gives you a pretty good overview of the main construction site and all of the activity that is going on. And you can also see that water detention pond in the middle, and some work continues for preparing that for its final use. I'm going to get a little bit closer in and show you some of the details. Here you can see more of the electrical components have been delivered, and some interesting components here. I'll bring the drone down and zoom in so you can kind of get an idea of what this looks like. But more of these components necessary to get the electrical substation operational. And if you happen to know exactly what those are, please let me know in the comments. That would be great. These two foundations, apparently these are going to be for transformers, and there will be two of them according to the site plan documents that I presented in the last couple of videos. Also, you can see the drill is currently idle right now, but there's going to be more drilling for the footing installation, where you can see the A-frame is located. They're getting ready to build a second A-frame in the middle, and then there will be a third in this clearing off to the right-hand side of the screen. And as you can see, a lot of the steel is being installed. More steel has arrived. And what the workers are doing right now is they're preparing the footings for the A-frame. And if you look at the existing A-frame and then where they're building these forms with concrete, you can get an idea of how this is going to appear. Now there will be 4 of these small or these rectangular footings, and then they'll start installing that second A-frame. You can see more of the framework and concrete work on 3 more of the rectangular footings just to the north there. And I'll pull back just a little bit to give you an overview of how that section appears. And again, just a lot of progress moving very quickly now. As we go to the north, this is with good lighting, you can see the steel parts of these very tall power poles waiting for assembly and then attaching to those circular mounts that have been installed over the last couple of months. And then overall, this is the view of the electrical substation today. Amazing progress, and it's just progressing very quickly. So as we fly away from the electrical substation, I'll give you just a good view of this center area just north of the Martin Marietta concrete batch plant. I believe that at some point we're going to see construction in this area, but not quite yet. However, you do see this water tank that's usually indicative of some sort of construction that will eventually begin. And you can also see this section of a lot of trees that had been pulled down and getting ready for mulching. As we continue farther to the northeast, well north of the battery cathode plant, there's some interesting things I want to show you here today. First of all, this is the original relocated rental equipment lot, and it has now expanded to beyond just the rental equipment. What you can see here in the left-hand side, almost the center of the screen, is a new, what I think is a repair shop using this tent-like structure around these containers. And this would give them the ability to do some maintenance on some of this equipment up in this particular section. In addition to that, we're going to proceed over here by these trees, and I'll show you all of the sections of the concrete that has been cut from the south end and then relocated here. Now, I don't know if they have plans for this in some time in the future, or this is just temporary storage until they're able to dispose of all that concrete. But it's very interesting that they've chosen this section to put all that concrete. The clearing area here continues to develop. You can see how they're filling in the ponds on the left-hand side, right in the middle, and then also you can see another pond that's being filled in. So they're slowly working their way to the west to fill the ponds and reclaim this area, probably for some future construction. And speaking of which, take a look at all of the equipment, the steel components, and more that is being stockpiled right here. And this is much more than what we would see inside the battery cathode plant. So it looks like they are preparing for yet another structure. And in some of these, it looks like there's actually columns in addition to the beams. So very interesting to see. We'll continue to work our way to the south over this white tint. You can see the slab with the steel structure on the left. Not a lot of change yet. On the main building on the north end, you can see work continuing on those receiving docks. There looks like there's 5 of them that have been poured right by that perimeter grade beam. You can also notice the wall panels, how close to the north end that they have become. And the crane is positioned to begin installing more of the wall panels on the upper levels soon. I'm going to get the drone positioned to show you this center section. A lot of interior walls, as you can see, but the area that I'm most interested is the ground slab, and as you can see, it's been poured with concrete. In fact, they've already got some saw cuts in the actual concrete itself, and the 3 very deep foundations still have some of the forms and supports, but looks like crews are getting ready to remove that and then continue with the construction on these. Again, I'm not sure what equipment will go here, but it looks like it would probably be some fairly large and heavy equipment that will be installed in this part of the building as well. Looks like 6 more wall panels waiting for installation have just arrived. You can see the work on the blue water pipe in that trench. I think that with the heavy rains that we had recently, the pipe actually floated up, so they've had to do some rework to get that back into the bottom of the trench. This view gives you an idea of some of the work and the materials that are going on the inside on the various floors, and also just how the exterior wall installation is coming along. Now these 2 tall open sections allows us to look inside, and you can see just the work on the interior walls is continuing. It looks like there's some ventilation openings as well, and some interesting steel silver pipes hanging down from the roof towards the bottom, and they kind of are graduated, getting from wide to small on the way down. So very interesting. If you have any ideas of what that is, let me know in the comments. I'd appreciate it. I'm pulling away just a bit to show you the overall look of the battery cathode plant and some of the other structures that have been installed in this part of the construction site. And that one in the center still continues to be a little bit of a mystery. It's a bunch of trailers with a lot of air conditioning units inside. So still not sure. I haven't been able to confirm exactly what that is for. As we get closer to the battery cathode plant again, this is a good overview shot of how the east side all appears, that clearing up to the north, and how the south end of the building with all the wall panels having been installed, except for that opening. And again, I think that they're leaving them open so they can put large equipment inside that wouldn't really fit any other way. I'll proceed back north along the west side of the battery cathode plant. You can see a few more wall panels have been delivered here. There's some of this black pipe for it's either for steam and or cooling pipes. Some more steel material in the middle, and this concrete ramp with all the rebar on the south end continues its preparation. You can see some rebar has just been delivered, so we should see more rebar work here shortly. They're also working on those manhole access for that manifold and preparing for mounts, possibly for tanks. And you can get an idea of how the interior walls and other component installation is going on this side of the building. Now, as I got over here, I noticed that the crane was just about to install a wall segment. And this one has actually got a opening already pre-fabricated into it, possibly for a loading dock, maybe for some doors. But I'll give you a quick time lapse so you can see the installation of this particular panel. One thing I want to point out is just take a look at the workers and get an idea of the scale of just that one segment of wall. You can also see that they've got those guide ropes and they're trying to control the wall panel, and it's an enormous piece of concrete. It's extremely heavy, and again, with the size of the workers, that should give you a good idea about the scale of this particular part of the building. So as I pull back, this gives you a good overall view of how the entire battery cathode plant and the east and west sides appear today. So I'm going to reposition further to the east to get a look at this portion of the factory. I've climbed up to a little bit higher altitude just so you can see how this entire area appears today. And you can see the warehouse on wheels right in the middle. And most of the north end is actually empty of trailers, which is an interesting development that I'm monitoring to see if I can figure out what exactly is going on and why they have a lot less trailers than normal. Here is this pile of debris. This is broken up crates that they get ready for recycling. And then across this large hill, I'll give you another close look at what I call the Model Y graveyard. This is where bodies, maybe test bodies or bodies that were used for specific reasons, are kept and prepared for recycling. You can also see some structural packs in this mix as well, and then also some of these white rackings that we've normally seen for castings. So overall, quite a bit of material here that has been discarded and getting ready for recycling as well. And I'll bring the drone up so you can get an idea of where we are in relation to the main factory, and also this north end of the warehouse on wheels that appears to be reconfigured to some degree and is missing a lot of the trailers today. So as we get a little closer to the main building, I'll give you a good view of the factory from this particular vantage point, and then we'll drop down and get close to the northeast corner of the casting machine structure, where there's an interesting development that I would like to show you. And specifically, this is a set of Model Y bodies. They have been outlined or put outside here for possibly eventual recycling. But what I want to show you is that 4 of them are the 2170 variants, and they have floors, and they do not have the casting on the front. However, the red one on the left-hand side, if you look in, you can see that it does not have a floor, and it actually has front castings. So this would be the 4680 version. And based on the third quarter financial results, Tesla did say that they are continuing to build both versions of the Model Ys here at Giga Texas. And this is actually good evidence to support what Tesla told us on that third quarter meeting. So let me show you what's going on with all the deliveries at the paint shop today. Now you see that white kind of angular item, and it has sort of that tube sticking out of it. That was actually formerly over at the near the warehouse on wheels stage there for several weeks, and has now been moved over here. So I'm not sure exactly what it is, but it's very interesting. You can just see a lot of the progress with continuing to move these deliveries into the upper floors of the paint shop. And the center section here, where they're reconfiguring the walkway, the curbs, and also some of the plumbing, continues to make progress as well. So I hope that you enjoyed this large tour around the factory near the building, and then several different areas farther away. A lot of the progress that is going on is just simply amazing, and it's really hard always to catch everything, but I do try my best. Thank you very much for watching. I do appreciate it, and I hope you have a great weekend.